You didn't want to see me working with it over the last hour as I've been learning how to use the Kreg Jig. For right now, I'm going to be going 2x2x2, 2x2x2. No, I can tell you, like I've told you before, and like I've heard from every other van build person that I've watched on YouTube, everything takes longer than you think. Especially, like I've said before, when you're not a carpenter. Good morning all, welcome back to the channel. Joseph here with Life After 55. Today I'm going to be building an electrical box. Basically I'm going to be framing out a huge rectangle and putting some plywood down where the batteries are going to sit and where all the electrical components are going to be housed. I'm going to be doing that by framing out with 2x2 boards, and I'm going to be using the Kreg Jig here. I've already been practicing. You didn't want to see me working with it over the last hour as I've been learning how to use the Kreg Jig. But now that I've got it down, it seems pretty simple. I'll show you an example of how I'm doing it. Okay, hopefully you can see this here. 2x2 wood just simply sits inside. Need to make sure that it's lined up appropriately because I'm putting 2 holes into it. So I've got to make sure that that's center. Lock everything down in its place. The Kreg comes with a special drill bit. And there I've got 2 pocket holes ready for the screws to go in. You can't just use any screw. You have to use a screw that's specifically designed for the Kreg. Some people say you can use other ones, but Kreg has their own screws that are set up with the flat head here so that when these go through, the screw will go through, but it'll stop, it'll catch right about there. This has a drill that drills through, but it stops here. So when this screw goes through, it's going to stop and hit right there in the wood. Going just far enough into the other piece of wood. There's a lot of there was a big learning curve with this because there are certain ways you have to set this Kreg up. This piece here goes up and down. It says 1/2, 3/4, 1/2 inch. You have to take this piece right here and move it. Again, there's a 1/2 inch. Get this the right way, see if you can see it. Anyway, there's a 1.5, a 3/4, and a 1/2 inch. And depending on what boards you're putting together, 2x2 to 2x2 or 2x2 into a 1/2 inch plywood, or whatever it is, I have an app that says, hey, for right now I'm going to be going 2x2x2, 2x2x2. No, I'm going to be going 2x2, which is 1.5 inches, into 1.5 inches, and the app tells me how to set it up. So I'm going to get the first one built, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Okay folks, so there's the first board. and I gotta tell you, my carpentry skills are not the best. And I did have a few problems with that Kreg. But you can see the pocket holes going in here, 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 here. Of course, I was kind of silly on the first one and did it on the inside, which wasn't the smart way to do it. It was kind of hard to get the drill up in there, and then I realized that and decided to do them on the outside. It's not going to be 100% square, but that's the first one built. That's the first time I've ever built anything like this. Now, what's that going to do? Well, it's kind of hard to show you right now. Let me build the other one, and then I'll show you how it's going to combine together. Well, y'all, day one of the electrical box framing is coming to an end because the sun is going down. And as they always say in the van build, everything takes longer than you think it's going to. But this is where I am right now. That framing section over there to the left of that blue box, the batteries are going to sit right on top of there. So I've got 3/4 inch plywood that's going to sit on top of that cross beam, and the batteries will sit there. That's the inverter charger. It's going to sit in that approximate location a little bit further up off the ground. I'm going to have a kill switch sitting about right there. That's going to turn the power off to the solar panels. The charge controller is going to sit around over here. In fact, feeling that tightness right there, the Victron's going to have to slide over a little bit, and then that'll sit in that place right there. And then along the upper panels up here, there'll be other fuses, bus bars. There'll be a cutoff switch to the battery coming over here somewhere. But anyway, all that to come down the road. Day one of the framing is done. Tomorrow I'll be back and we'll finish up the actual framing, and we'll let you see how it looks once it's all done. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Well, folks, we're on day two of framing for the electrical components. I actually started already this morning finishing up the framing of this outside piece here, trying to plan where I'm going to have some doors that open up so I can actually get into some of the components. There'll be a cutoff switch here for the solar panel, so I need to make sure I can actually get into that to cut it off. The battery compartment is completely done, and again, I'm expecting to have a door here that'll come down so I can actually get to the batteries. So some of that framing is done. I can tell you, like I've told you before, and like I've heard from every other van build person that I've watched on YouTube, everything takes longer than you think. Especially, like I've said before, when you're not a carpenter. I don't think it helps that nothing is square in the van. Everything leans at angles. That makes it a little bit more difficult, but we're going to do with what we have, and it's going to work out. So I think the next step is to go ahead and cut the 3/4 inch plywood. That's going to sit on top of here where the batteries are actually going to sit. And yep, I'll give you another peek when I've got some more work done. Okay, y'all, coming to you from underneath the bed in the garage. The framework for the electrical components is just about done. There's some plywood I'm going to put up because it's going to cover everything, but I'm not going to do that right now. I still need to order all the cables for all the components. I'm going to do that from batterycablesusa.com, and I've placed everything where I believe it's going to be to make sure that everything fits now I can size everything, measure everything, and actually order those cables. I've got 1-aught cables coming from battery to battery, battery to a kill switch, battery to a shunt, all the way to the inverter charger. I've got 10 gauge wire coming in, I've got 6 gauge wire coming in, I've got 4 gauge wire going out. So let me give you just a quick look at what it looks like right now. On the bottom right, you'll see a distribution panel. That's where all the electricity will come out of. So all my 12 volt will come into those wires sitting right there. Those wires are already connected to the back of the distribution panel. And over here, there'll be fuses. Right above the white, right below those wires, that's where I'll have the 120 breakers. And then I'll wire all the 120 stuff into that. I've got a kill switch right there that I'll be able to have access to, so I can cut off the solar panels. The solar panels will come into there and out of there. They'll go into the charge controller. The charge controller has a fuse that'll be sitting right up there, and then everything goes up through the bus bars as well. The batteries are sitting in their spot. I need to go ahead and tie those down, but I didn't want to do that until I showed you where it was. Over on this end over there is a DC to DC charger. That'll be wired straight to the van battery, and that will charge those batteries as well as the solar. There's a cutoff switch right up in here. That's to cut off the batteries to the entire system. There's a shunt sitting up there that ties into the batteries, and there's a monitor that shows me how good the batteries are functioning. The big blue box, that's the inverter charger. That's where the power from the 12 volt will go in, and then it'll invert it to the 120, and it's going to have a fuse going through a fuse right there. That's a 250 amp fuse. And that's really about the system right now. Like I said, coming to you from underneath the bed. Everything looks like it's going to fit in place, so I'm going to go ahead and take the measurements and place the orders. It's December 23rd right now, so I'm probably going to wait until after Christmas to go ahead and place the orders for these cables and start getting everything hooked up. I do have the heater. I think I figured out where the heater is going to go, so I need to do that, but that'll be an entirely separate video. I'm going to end this one right here. Guys, I am pumped up about this. I mean, to see this framing done, to see the battery sit in place, to see all of these components sitting where they're going to be when I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I've got extra room. I got all kinds of extra room. I'm leaving space right there in case I decide to get a third battery. There's space underneath. There's still space over here on this side. So I am really pumped up about this, excited the way this thing is going, and just looking forward to getting out there once I've got some power and I've got some heat going and hooking up a fan. Guys, I'm just so pumped up about this. This is really gosh, I can't even explain it. This makes it seem more real to me. It's just becoming more and more real every time something else goes up. So hey, look, I'm gonna get out of here. I've got some things to do today because you know what, it's 2 days before Christmas and I need to do some living, right? I need to get out there and live my best life, just like I tell you guys too. This is part of it, but there's other things I want to do today too. So we're gonna call it for the day. Get out there, guys, whether you're 26, whether you're 56 like me, or you're 76, get out there and live your best life. I'm gonna get out of here for now. Peace out.